Hello, my name is Ian Hodgins and I'm a trustee of the magnificent Ford Park Cemetery in Plymouth. And I want to discuss one of our memorials. Now, here, the memorial reads, in loving memory of Anne, the wife of Walter Coath, who died the 10th of May, 1884, aged 64. And also her son, John Williams Coath, murdered by savages in the islands of Espiritu Santo on the 2nd of April, 1874, aged 35 years. Wow. Now, here we get the impression of some great missionary hero that died for his beliefs. But let's look at the life of John Williams Coath. John Williams Coath was born in 1839 in Plymouth, son of Walter and Anne Coath. Both his father and grandfather were inland revenue inspectors. On the 7th of September 1858, John Williams Coath married Maria Yeoman at St Mary's in Limehouse. Exactly 9 months later, she gave birth to a son whom they named Walter Yeoman. For reasons unknown, John Williams Coath disappeared from the records. His wife Maria assumes that he has died, and in 1862 she shows up as widow at her wedding to Joseph Robert Bradbrook in Stepney. Meanwhile, on February the 16th, 1863, on the far side of the world in Newcastle, New South Wales, John Williams Coath gets married to Henrietta Kindermore. Now, if you're wife of a husband that goes missing in these circumstances, then you can probably justify thinking that they are dead, and therefore potentially remarried. But if you're the one that goes missing, then there are no excuses. But let's put bigamy aside and we'll move on. Coath served as first mate on the schooner Spunky in the South Seas of Australia. The Spunky strongly resembled the missionary schooner Southern Cross, which was also operating in that area. Now, this is what would happen. Spunky would precede the mission boat to the islands by several days. And as soon as the ship dropped anchor, the crew would stand around with books singing hymns. Coath, who had a smattering of the local language, would then dress in a white mackintosh, spectacles, and umbrella, and be rowed ashore. Once there, he would hand out pages from some nautical almanac, as if they were biblical tracts, and explain that the bishop was detained on board, but would like to invite all of his friends to join him. Once the natives had boarded the ship, then they were clapped in irons, sailed a few hundred miles up coast, and sold to the sugar plantation owners. Well, technically, they weren't sold. That would be slavery. They were dropped off, and their only way of survival was to voluntarily work for the plantation owner. And Coath would be given money for just dropping them off, for saving them. Coath later became master of the schooner Jason, doing very similar work. During one of his trips in 1871, he kidnapped a government agent who was investigating. He chained him up in the hold for more than 3 weeks, by which time he'd gone stark raving mad and was therefore unable to give any evidence. Coath was finally caught by the authorities, and after a lengthy trial he was found guilty of offensive against natives and sentenced to 5 years. However, Coath's lawyer argued that by taking the islanders, who did not currently enjoy the protection of the British government, and then delivering them to Australia, then he was in fact granting them the right of protection under the law, and therefore was actually improving their status, and therefore Coath was doing them a favour. He was then pardoned in September 1873, and it was likely that he went back to his previous ways, because the following year he was mortally injured from spear wounds in the island of Espiritu Santo. So our missionary hero, as hinted on the monument, really turned out to be no more than a kidnapper and slave trader. Thank you for watching.